Hey, it's Sunday, time for a special action figure adventures video here on SEO Toy Review. Today, Baby Skeletor and I are taking a look at the Game of Thrones Night King figure by McFarlane Toys. This new line of McFarlane figures based on the last season of Game of Thrones is very exciting to me. I can't wait to take a look at all these figures, and I'm really hoping they give us a lot more characters. The back of his package features cross-sell art for Jon Snow, Daenerys Targaryen, the Night King, Arya, which I've previously reviewed, and a figure of Icy Viserion. Here we have the Night King out of the package, and it's time to take a closer look at him. The White Walkers have been a threat for the entire series of the show, but the Night King has only become a threat since Season 4. This big bad, who has grown in importance and grown in power as the show has gone on, will be a very pivotal part of this final season. I am actually recording this before Episode 3 comes out. Actually, on the same day Episode 3 will come out tonight. So this review is going to get up a little bit after that, so maybe things will have developed already by the time you get to watch this, but just giving you perspective on when I'm filming it on April 28th. This figure is gorgeous. It's a wonderful sculpt with great paint applications of a scary dude from Game of Thrones. Check out that amazing paint and sculpt work on his face. It's awesome. Now his head is articulated, but the joint is actually low on his body. It's down here kind of at collar level, not up high, you know, where like the neck meets the scalp. Maybe this is because the figure doesn't have hair, but it's an unusual place to put the articulation point, and I think it kind of limits his articulation. He kind of looks down more than he can look up, which is kind of a shame. The head does turn around, and like I said, there is a little bit of forward and backwards movement, but it's mostly just down. He doesn't look forward very far. He's got flexible, rubberized clothing on here, so this can move around a little bit as you move his shoulders. It does get in the way some of the articulation, but it is not terrible. Those arms move out to the side and around. He's got ratcheting elbow joints there. There's also a swivel at that point. He has a swivel at the wrist as well as rocker joints that work really well. Both of his hands are sculpted so he can hold accessories. As we move down his waist, he has a swivel. No ab crunch type articulation here. He has a large rubberized skirt type piece. His features slits going up and down the sides. I had previously reviewed Arya, and her skirt piece does not have slits. So this does allow him a much greater range of motion, which is nice, especially if you want to try and put him on a horse. I haven't tried that, but if you wanted him to ride a steed or maybe an upcoming dragon figure, it might be good that the loincloth can move out of the way a little bit there. He has a great range of motion at those hips. Of course, it is hindered somewhat by that skirt, but very nice motion there. He has knee joints that contain a swivel point. There is no articulation in his boot itself until you get down here to the ankle, where there is a little bit of a pivot and a rotation point there. It does not rock real far, but enough to help you with posing the figure nicely. I can't get over how good the sculpt and paintwork is on this figure. He is really, really gorgeous. For accessories, the Night King comes with a stand with a single peg on it and the Game of Thrones logo. He comes with this awesome ice-bladed scimitar sword. This is made out of translucent plastic here. It's almost a little bit too fogged to look like ice because of how much texture is sculpted in it, but it is nice. And then he comes with an ice javelin, which has been very important in the show previously. Again, nicely detailed accessory. These fringe pieces being so rigid and stiff are a little bit weird, but I think it's okay. Here's the Night King standing alongside the Arya Stark figure from the line. You can see that there is a difference in stature and body build between these two characters, as there should be. Arya's figure is much easier to get her weapons in her hands, but her weapons have very slender handles. The Night King's weapons actually are very bulky handles, and so I had to do a little fiddling to get his fingers to stretch out enough to get those weapons into his hand. Once I did it once, it became much easier to get them in and out. The McFarlane line is not the first line of highly detailed Game of Thrones figures fans have gotten. Previously, there was a line made by Funko and Gentle Giant. I really like that line, although those figures are a little bit fragile, I have found. At least the White Walker is, which I have pictured here. But I wanted to compare them to show off how the two lines kind of mesh together. The two Arya Stark figures are great together. This White Walker is a little too big and a little too bright blue for this Night King, unfortunately. They don't look terrible together, but the White Walker really needs like a black wash or something to tone him down a little bit. The White Walker figure from Funko also has a glow-in-the-dark feature, and that may be part of the reason why they painted him in such a vivid shade of blue. I do think the Night King might be a hair too gray. So if I was going to nitpick this figure, I don't really like the tassels on the weapons being sculpted out of rigid plastic and kind of pre-posed like that. I think it's a little weird. I wish the ice weapons were a little bit clearer, and I kind of think that the Night King might be a shade too gray. But the sculpting is great. The paintwork really is gorgeous on this figure. I am super happy, and I hope McFarlane cranks out Game of Thrones characters. I can't wait for Danny and John to get here. I ordered them the same time as the Night King and Arya, and they're just a little bit further behind in the shipping process. Thanks for watching this Action Figure Adventures video. Do Baby Skeletor a favor, hit that like and subscribe button.